There's a reoccurring theme that seems to keep popping up. And it's this philosophy of passing the buck, all right? Thinking that it's all right to make a deal, make a promise, give your word, and then when it comes time to do so, not showing up. Now, everybody, I believe, can relate to this in some kind of way. Perhaps you've invested a load of time into your career and you feel like you're not getting to where you need to be. And when I go where I go next, stay with me here because I'm trying to put this together as best I can for all of us. This is something that is a fairly new phenomenon for myself. Yeah, I know I'm a bit older, but it's something that really grinds my gears, man. Um, for myself, I will just use myself as an example because that seems to always be the best route to go. Um, for the last several years, I have invested a lot of time into a certain area. Okay. And I can sit here and say that I put every possible effort into keeping my end of the deal. And I was told that, yep, everything's going to be fine. You've done all that you need to do. So that makes a fella feel pretty good. All right, I've checked the boxes. I'm at where I need to be. But then the box has changed. And it's not that the entire system is to blame, but there are certain cogs that do need replacing. And those cogs don't seem to understand that for someone like me, yeah, this situation stung. And I know what the idea behind it is because of how the technique was used. So here has been my experience. Take individual, whoever, put them in your into your own blank here for this story. So pick an individual and think about them and think about an encounter that you've had with them. Okay? Like my daddy used to say, everybody gets two. And what he meant by that was, all right, the first time, maybe perhaps there was a misread on my part of this situation as a whole. And due to that, I need to go back and verify if what I believe to be correct for the process that needs completion is correct and I understand it. And I do this face to face because it's very easy to hide behind a keyboard. It is incredibly easy to manipulate people. And should you choose, you will become manipulated and used. Now, I'm not fully sure if people that use this technique are aware of what they're doing, but I have a hard time believing that they don't. And here's where I get lost. So maybe somebody else knows something that I don't. But if I ask you, like I ask you right now, a question, you're going to give me an answer. The answer that you give is more than just a superficial response. It creates a ripple. That information that you give to me, I will then take and use to build myself up, to grow, and typically, if not almost always, to give back. Now, if you do not answer the question or give the correct response without thought behind it, and then the question is asked again, and you get the same answer, again, going back to everything's going to be fine, don't worry about it. And then person disappears, only to respond to you through text. Here's your first sign, okay? Your first sign that something is wrong is when this starts happening. Guilt and shame are strong undercurrents. And man, oh man, have I wilted in those shadows for far too long. So the text will come in, and the text is a trap, all right? Or it can be. Not everything is so. But in this particular situation, it is. What happens when this start of the process or manipulation starts to happen is the person turns it into, well, what didn't you do? Oh, clearly you didn't understand something correctly. I believe they call this gaslighting, as the cool kids call it. Now, I've been through this waltz a few times, so I seen where this was going real quick. There was a deadline that something had to be completed by. And I did everything that was supposed to be done to be completed. And then it wasn't okay. And they tried to use text messaging so they wouldn't have to face up to what they'd done wrong. What I want you to take away from this is two things. One, if you're the person passing the buck, shut it down. Because what you don't seem to understand is that, like that ripple in the pond, good or bad, you're making ripples. And had this been 10 years ago, this would have took a bigger chunk out of me. But you see, baby, I'm all about the workaround, right? So, the same weapons that they try to use against you, learn them. Learn the techniques, learn the tools. And I'm not saying weaponize them. I'm saying understand them. Because for those of us that have been receiving that past buck, you're left with two choices, right? You can let that break you, eat you up, turn you into nothing. ... Or you can do what I said at the beginning of this. You keep showing up. You keep smiling. You hold your head high. You keep your shoulders back. Don't ever let them see you flinch. Process, yes, absolutely. I'm not saying bury it down. That's what I'm doing here right now. This is one of my forms of processing. I'm in my thinking tree, my thinking spot. And you've probably noticed even a tone shift from the beginning of this video to where it will inevitably end, as all things do. But everything has a beginning. The thing to remember is that you can have as many beginnings as you want to own. You can try not to show yourself You can try and hide, and you'll get away with it for a while. You will. I'm going to tell you that right now. Chances are you've been getting away with it for quite some time, which is why you've become so desolate, probably lost, probably angry. And you see, this is a, what you call it, symbiotic reciprocal relationship. Let's go with that. Reciprocal relationship. Anger feeds anger, but love and understanding can pierce through that anger, through that ignorance. So, if I were to sum it up, which I will, don't let anybody put you in a box, including yourself. If you see these things happening, I've given you my suggestions. You can always, and you will have to adapt. You'll have to change depending on what your circumstance or situation is. But don't change you, okay? Don't think that if you can't beat them, join them. All right? That's that's not the way to go about it. Remember why you started doing whatever it is you started doing.
Remember why you work as hard as you work. But never forget to keep on shining. We out.